Mix 102.5, the best mix from the 90s to now. Big Papa in the afternoon, talking with Jen from the Estate Planning Law Center, French Road in New Hartford, 793-3622, and eplawcenter.com. And Jen, how are you today?
I am fabulous. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Well, thank you so much. Definitely appreciate that. I'm glad that we get a chance to talk because one of the things, the reason that estate planning is on my radar now, and I'm in my 40s, and I'm slowly transitioning into, instead of parents taking care of us, we start to take care of our parents. Like that's just, I never thought it would be that way growing up, but that's just kind of what happens. That's the natural progression. And I'm realizing that.
Right.
And one of the things that I ended up doing with my mom over the last 6 months or so was actually setting her stuff up, and we did the estate plan for her. Right. And it really is. Obviously, everyone should do this, but when it comes to the matriarch of the family. Number one, it really is an awkward subject to breach no matter what. And then going into the intricacies of what you have to do because it's a mom.
Right. And I'm glad she did her own planning, because lots of times people put that aside because they're too busy taking care of everybody else that they forget to put their own oxygen masks on. And they need to, and it's just put the plan in place. As I always say, plan for the worst, hope for the best, and just so that there's something there to fall back on.
For people who have heard of estate planning but don't necessarily know what that is, real quick, what is estate planning?
Well, it can be anywhere from saying where you want your things to go when you pass away, or to make sure that there are assets left so that they all don't get used up on long-term care and other expenses. And most importantly is putting advanced directives in place, so in the worst case scenario, if you can't make your own decisions, that someone else can, like a healthcare proxy and or a power of attorney.
It's one of those things where it's a really awkward subject to come up to and have that conversation, because like we talked about in the situation where you start to become the person that makes the decisions rather than your parents. Right. It's your parents for the most part have been the rock. And to talk about them being in a vulnerable state and talk about them possibly not being there and whatnot. Do you have any tricks as far as starting the conversation or bringing it up? Or is it just rip the Band-Aid and go?
No, you can just say, I like to start the conversation typically with, hey, did you hear about so-and-so and this happened? And then so that leads you into thinking about, what if that happened to our family situation? What is the plan for that? Have you thought about that? Who's going to take care of these things? And what do you want, Mom? How do you want things to go? And oftentimes, they might, your parents might still just have finished taking care of their own parents, or might still be in that process, and they're in the sandwich generation where they're or you could be soon too, where you're taking care of the parents and raising your own family and having your own family situation. And everyone in this day and age, people are working and people are busy, so there has to be a plan in place to help stretch assets as far as they will go, so that the people you love can be taken care of in the best possible means. And
anytime you deal with lawyers and estates and someone not being able to physically be there and say what their wishes are and carry them out themselves, you want to make sure that you have everything handled. And that's why you want to go to the Estate Planning Law Center, French Road in New Hartford, 793-3622, eplawcenter.com, estate planning, eplawcenter.com is the website. Jen, we're talking about specifically when you take your mother to go and get estate planning. Talk to me about what makes it different when you deal with the matriarch of the family as opposed to someone else in the family.
Well, yeah, you're taking that person that is usually in control and already knows how things are going to go and is typically, the one who is carrying out all the wishes of others. And you just want to make sure that what they want to have happen, and for them to even think about the possibility, what if they weren't the ones in control? How are they going to make sure that things are carried out in a manner in which they would like, and with the least amount of arguing and the least amount of any kind of hassle or anything like that, so that everything is written down to state the wishes of, like, your mom.
Jen, I'm in a mine. My mother's was easy in the sense that I'm an only child.
Yeah, that does make you only have to fight with yourself.
Yeah, so as far as quote unquote hard decisions, there really weren't any because it's just me. Mm-hmm. But what kind of things could happen if there are if you're talking about quote unquote your mom, but you have multiple brothers and sisters, what types of things are there to discuss as far as division of this, that, and the other? Like, what kind of things do you really need to talk about here?
Well, not everyone hears the same information and receives it in the same way. So it can cause miscommunication amongst the siblings and children, because they're both saying the same thing. No, mom wanted it this way, mom wanted it that way. And that's because how they interpreted it. But that's why it's important to just get those basic things written down so that everyone knows, yeah, this is what she said, here it is. There's no way of miscommunicating it.
No, you're absolutely right, especially because the emotions are so high. After everything happens and then trying to piece it together, emotions are just so high. And that a lot of times could be, the straw that breaks the camel's back to cause a fight in a time when the last thing you want to be doing is fighting.
Right. And because everybody deals with stress in a different manner. And so those might not be copacetic between the siblings, and it just might be the way that individual is reacting. And then it turns into, life-altering events and hard feelings than what really needs to happen. They just was a bad interpretation of what mom wanted. So that's why you want it, all written down and have it clear.
All right. So people are listening right now and they're like, you know what? This makes a lot of sense. Let's get mom going on this. Number one, is there an age limit, like a minimum age or a maximum age to do estate planning? And number two, what is the first step?
Right. You just have to be a legal adult. So here in New York, you have to be 18. So there's no real age limit. It's just even getting those advanced directives in place, because as we've learned, that anything can happen to anyone at any time. So you want to have those things in place for people to be able to make decisions for you in the event you can't make them for yourself.
Sure. And what is the first step to, okay, mom, we're going to do this, and she agrees to do it. What's the first step?
I always recommend that you come to one of our workshops. We offer them in person and or virtually online, and you can just reserve a seat. We do not charge for those, and it's just a quick education on all of the things that could happen, get you thinking about things that you might not have considered or what happens in certain events. And then after you get that basic information, that entitles you to come in and meet one-on-one with an attorney to determine how those broad ideas incorporate into your own personal planning.
And you can find out where the seminars are and when. All those are listed on the Estate Planning Law Center social media and, of course, eplawcenter.com. And if you have any questions, 793-3622, 793-3622. It's the Estate Planning Law Center. Jen, thank you so much for the time. I love the fact that we are having people think ahead on this stuff. And, just that little bit of planning ahead can save so much on the back end.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the Estate Planning Law Center on French Road in New Hartford, 793-3622, eplawcenter.com.